Hey everybody, Rusty from Rusty Shipp here. And today I'm going to take you behind the scenes to the making of the song Crack Baby from a songwriting point of view. So this is a very cold song. This is definitely a bottom of the barrel, total depravity kind of song. Kind of like one of David's Psalms or something where it's just like crying on your knees and it doesn't really seem like there's any way out. That's kind of where the song came from. And I was kind of more or less in a state of inner turmoil and angst when I wrote this song. And I tell people that this is a song that was fueled by caffeine and lust. Caffeine being the 2 Pepsis that I had right before I wrote it. But this song, Crack Baby, it's interesting because it actually started originally from a philosophical essay that I had written just on my personal blog. And it was basically making the comparison between crack babies in the world, which a crack baby is a baby born to somebody who's addicted to crack, and the baby is born essentially addicted to crack itself. And so it wakes up crying until it can get crack. At least that's what they tell me. I was like, man, what a dark, haunting image. And I was thinking about the comparison between that and men, and how the average male is born into this world kind of wired in a sense where the tendency of men is to gravitate towards sexual addiction. And it's like we're wired that way from the time that we're born. And so I thought it was kind of an interesting comparison there. So this is actually a song about lust and also a struggle with addiction that many men face. So, but there's definitely some wordplay in there where it kind of sounds like I'm talking about drugs and like addiction in that sense. But there are certain clues throughout the song where it kind of gives you a hint that it might not be talking about drugs. And probably my favorite line in the song, which is actually the line that inspired me to write the song from the very beginning, where it says, ooh, I ain't singing about no stinking girl. Or it goes like this.
Get my fix, baby. No, I ain't singing about no stinking girl.
So he's like saying, give me my fix. I ain't singing about no stinking girl, in case anybody was confused. So it kind of makes you think like, oh, well, he's probably singing about drugs. And this is what people have told me. They're like, well, obviously I know that song is not about a girl because you say, I'm not singing about no stinking girl. Until you get to the next line.
Or am I falling in love? Maybe could it be just another drug?
So it's kind of interesting. It's like, is he singing about a girl? Is he singing about drugs? I'm singing about a girl, people. That's the truth. Maybe I shouldn't say those things, but I done said it. Just so people know I'm not singing about drugs. There you go. But yeah, and this was a really interesting song because I wrote this song at a time in my life where I was actually really, really struggling with lust. And I will say that freely. And one of the ways that I was able to cope with that and kind of overcome that extreme temptation to give into lust was through music and creating music, which was this song. So when I was overcome with those temptations in my head, I would just start try to rip my mind away from that and focus on something. And so I focused on the song, on the melody, and on the lyrics, specifically the chorus. And so I remember one time I was walking around my house singing the lyrics to the song. It hadn't been written yet. I was kind of piecing it together. And so that's kind of an interesting backstory with how the song came about. Definitely one of my favorite songs. This is actually our drummer AJ's favorite song from Rusty Shipp, as well as our manager Joy. Her favorite song that we do is Crack Baby. Personal favorites, it's one of the songs whose lyrics I'm most proud of in this song. Just the interesting back and forth kind of playing with the listener. But it's cool because even though it's coming from a place of utter depravity and despair, of like, this angst of like hopelessness. But the very last phrasing in the song, how it ends, is basically somebody on their knees crying out for help. So it kind of ends on a high note saying, please hear my pleas, won't you help me, Jesus? And that's how it ends, kind of like with some hope at the end of it. So that's basically Crack Baby.